Yeah, the final use of what we're doing is we did an internal communications audit this fall focusing on how employees like to receive information. So it's not really so much do you read employee news, it's more, where do you get the information to do your day-to-day job? So about how they get the information. We had over 11,000 people took the survey. It was a quick survey. It was under 15 questions.
Okay.
And the data was used to help determine pass-through readership. What we're trying to do as a company is figure out that, we have 160,000 employees, and that clearly doesn't mean that we have to have 160,000 views on every news story to understand that people got the news. So we're trying to figure out how many people like to get the information from peers, how many like to get it from their supervisor, how many like to get it online, and try to extrapolate out what these view and click numbers really mean.
That's great.
And we actually turned the one-word open-ended response of what we'd like to hear more of into a Wordle, which is what you're looking at right now on your screen, that just kind of shows us, I think there was over 6,000 responses on that, and that's just a one quick glance to tell you what our employees really want more of without statistics, without data, without bullets, and people care about product training, company strategy, advancements, and financial updates. So it's like, all right, we can work with that.
Love it. I want to encourage everyone to ask questions in the queue to left of our presentation. We'll have time for questions. I actually have a question for you, Ericka. We talked a little bit earlier about old school communications. I'm wondering if the online discussions help foster more active or meaningful in-person discussions, and do you measure this?
If we measure our online discussions and how that translates into face-to-face?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we actually, oftentimes we use our online tools more, Betsy's used the phrase, statistically relevant. We use a lot of our online gathering as more of a gut check, or as we say here at Best Buy, directionally correct. And so we'll use that information not necessarily to determine how many dollars to allocate to HR, but more about the fact that people feel like they're not getting HR representation, and then taking it and having a discussion with HR around why are people feeling this way, and what can we do, and how do we dig down and find out a little bit more about what that really means. So we use it kind of as a compass versus a map, if that makes any sense.
Betsy, would you weigh in on that as well?
Well, yeah, and first I have to share a funny story because as part of this role, as I mentioned earlier, you need, whether you want to or not, you need to be really close with your legal and HR partners. We actually had the term old school in a strategy statement for our employee communities, and our legal department reminded us that there's a discriminatory overtone to that term, which is kind of funny because I'm very old school. But anyway, so we had to change it to, I think, face-to-face, right, or in person. But I just want to share that. Those are the kinds of fun things that come out. But if you listen and you respond and you and you partner with them, then you'll build more relationships and be able to get to the really tough stuff later.
Sure.
But in terms of face-to-face, we know, and I say we know intuitively that even though people may be active online, that doesn't mean that there aren't other people watching things. So an example is we had a major announcement this year, early in the year, that we were closing 2 of our 6 locations, and it affected 1,100 of our 22,000 employees. And we offered these hourly employees a relocation to another building, to another city. We stood up our first kind of community. This wasn't really Polstream, but it kind of spun off of that dialogue. And we had more. Remember, 1,100 people were affected, and then others were wanting to help these folks out. We had 300,000 hits on that site. Now, we didn't have that many discussions, and Eric, I'm sure with y'all's water cooler, you probably have similar types of data. If you look at the Forrester or the Jacob Nielsen data, it says that usually only about 5 to 10% of people actually participate, but that doesn't mean they're not going out and sharing this stuff virally. So if you even watch how many hits, how many people were watching this, even if they weren't participating, you got a pretty good sense of how it was being consumed and shared. I wish I could tell you we had some great measures, and that's something I'd love to look at for 2010 is how to show the downstream benefit, in a measurable way.
Sure.
Right now, it's mostly anecdotes.